every single time you go on a porn site, you're actually looking for Jesus. You're actually looking for love. What's up, beautiful people? What's up, beautiful people? Today's gonna be a special video, and I'll be honest with you guys, it was long awaited, like very long awaited. I don't know why I haven't made it yet, but here it is. All right, so here's my testimony and how Jesus saved me. All right, so I'm growing up in a Christian household. My dad's a pastor and my family's Christian, so I was always in the church as a kid. So church was nothing new to me, and with that came a big problem: familiarity. So I grew up in the church, my dad's a pastor, but I never had a relationship with God. So where do you think that led? Well, basically, I led me to a pornography addiction. When I was in 4th grade, some kids on my bus were talking about porn, and I was like, what is that? I'm curious. So I looked it up on my own, and that was probably the greatest mistake of my life. So I saw it. I was about 8 years old, and obviously I was super young, so I didn't know what to do, right? But when I was about 12 years old, that was the first time I ever masturbated. And if you're a kid watching this video, it's going to be pretty graphic. So I'm just telling you guys this to warn you. But all right, view with discretion. Now, that lasted from when I was about 12 years old to about 17 years old. And I literally would go to this addiction to pornography when I was uncomfortable, when I was feeling rejected, when I was feeling hurt by somebody, when I felt bored of my life, when I felt like I lacked purpose. And I was in a prison. I was so unhappy with myself. I had social anxiety, and I just couldn't look myself in the mirror and tell myself that I'm proud of myself, because I wasn't. I was disappointed in myself, and I felt like a failure. And it came up to a point where I was like, if I don't change, I'm going to hell. Because I used to do it like 5 to 6 times a day. And I was addicted. During COVID, it got so much worse. I felt lonely, I felt isolated, and what a perfect time to do it. What a perfect time to go deeper with this sin. And I knew in my heart, every single time I did it, it was wrong. Every single time, even when I was 12, the first time I did it, I knew, what am I doing, bro? This is not right. But I couldn't stop because it was so enticing. I knew it was wrong, but it felt so right. And it really changed my perspective on how I viewed girls, how I viewed women. And I would not wish that on anybody. So I'm telling you right now, now that's the bad part of this, all right? I'm going to get to the good part, okay? The part where Jesus saved me. But I'm going to tell you guys this in detail because I want you to understand that only God could have delivered me from this addiction. It led me to end up ruining one of my relationships. My past relationship I was in, I could not stop this addiction. I tried my best, and I was with a girl, and this was heartbreaking for both of us because I literally had no idea why I kept doing it. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't stop. And this addiction ended up ruining my past relationships because my mindset and the way I viewed people. And I'll tell you right now, this is very uncomfortable to make because this is something that is very painful for me to say, very painful for me to talk about. But I'm telling you guys this because I know you guys may be going through something similar. A lot of you guys tell me that you struggle with pornography. So I want this video to be an encouragement for you. I want this video to be a way for you to maybe feel hope, because you can be free. You can be set free from this, because this addiction can ruin relationships. It can ruin marriages. It can ruin romance. It can ruin intimacy with your partner. And I'm telling you right now, that's what it did for me. Now, when I was about 16, I would say, I had a dream, and it was near like COVID. It was near like those end times prophecies and all those things where fear was just being spread massively, and everyone was scared of the rapture. And I had a dream one night where I was in a sewer, and there was a line of people, and I was in the line, and I was seeing a judge, which was God. He was determining whether the person would go to heaven or hell. So he pointed up and the person would float up, or he would point down and they would fall through the ground. And when it became my turn, guess what happened? I went to hell. I fell to the ground, and I fell into a big sewer system thing where there was a crowd of people and we were all swimming in water and we were all trying to find an escape. And we found a big door, and it was like a vault door. We opened the door up, and guess what happened? More water started flooding in. And I was terrified. We started drowning. But then again, then all of a sudden I cut to me being in heaven. I saw grass. I saw a field, miles and miles of green grass and fields. And I physically, tangibly felt the sun. I felt the warmth of the sun, and it was beautiful. And I saw Jesus right next to me, and I asked him, "Are you Jesus?" And he said this. He said yes. And that was when I decided to change my life. That was when I decided to change my walk with Christ. And I'd be a liar to say I quit porn that day, because no, I didn't. There were some days where I did go back to it. But every single time I did that, the conviction was 10 times worse, because I knew this heaven is real. And it's not about me running from going to hell. I changed my mindset, and it took me some time to do that. So do not quit pornography simply because you don't want to go to hell. Quit it because you love God. Because I had no relationship with God back then. I didn't know who God was. I just thought he was this angry deity that would want to punish me if I do something wrong, right? But he's a loving father, and he wants you to do right, because not because it's wrong, but simply because it hurts you. Simply because sin destroys yourself. Sexual sin specifically. A man who sins sexually sins against his own body. And let me cut to the chase, all right? Basically, that catapulted my walk with Christ, simply because I realized that after meeting Jesus in person, in that dream, I couldn't view pornography the same. To me, it was just a way to get pleasure. But after seeing what it truly does to people, after seeing how it abuses women, after seeing the abuse and the degradation of women, after God opening my eyes to these things, I couldn't ever look at it the same. And the last time I watched porn was probably 2 years ago, because I literally have no desire to do that, because every single time you go on a porn site, you're actually looking for Jesus. You're actually looking for love. And I was looking for love as well, but I didn't know what it looked like until I met the person who was love, and that's God. So if you're watching this right now and you're struggling with a porn addiction, you must understand that until you know God, until you know what true love is, until you know what true intimacy is with God, you're going to keep looking for love in the wrong places, in a relationship, in maybe marriage, and these things are great, but that's not how you find the source of love. And you're going to feel empty once you get married, once you get that girl you want, right? Or once you get that boy you want. And that hole in your heart is going to continue to expand and expand. And you're going to continue to fill it with vices, with smoking, with alcohol, with vaping, with social media scrolling, with all these different things that you think will fill that void in your heart, but they only expand it. The only person I can tell you from my personal perspective, the only person that could do this, that can fill that void is Jesus Christ. And after experiencing that in the last maybe few months, honestly, that's when my relationship grew, the last few months. So I promise you right now, if you decide to seek Jesus Christ for yourself, he will heal you from that brokenness you've experienced, from that pain and the loss you've experienced. And let me add this as well. Pornography isn't just actors. These people are real. These people are hurting inside. Nobody would voluntarily want to be abused. Yes, I said it. It's abuse. It's not just acting for fun, or you get your little quick hit of pleasure and then you get off the site. These people have souls. These people have emotions. What do you think they do after the sets? They probably get drunk just to avoid that pain, just to avoid what they're feeling inside. And that realization right there was what allowed me to never go back to pornography, because it literally destroys your relationship with God. It destroys your confidence. It destroys everything that you hold dear. And when I was delivered from pornography, my confidence increased. My walk with God, it's never been stronger, to be honest. And my relationships with people have never been better. And I'm telling you right now, this is the chance. This is your sign to quit, bro. This is your sign to let go of that addiction. This is your sign to seek Jesus with all your heart. And I'm not saying you're going to be perfect. You might mess up along the way. But one thing I can tell you is that if you keep stumbling towards Jesus, eventually you're going to be able to stand, and eventually you're going to be able to run. So if you allow this message to touch your heart, I promise you right now, you're going to make changes that you never thought were possible. As long as you keep trusting Jesus, as long as you allow him to change your heart, because you have to hate pornography. You have to view it for what it really is. Pornography is the degradation of a woman or man from what God has really called them to be, which is royalty, really. The woman you see on these sites, God cares for them. God loves these people. God doesn't just view them as objects, right? They're people that he specially created for a purpose. And every single time we do it, every single time we participate in the abuse of a woman or abuse of a man, because you're not just watching the site and you're not just watching them do it. You're also participating by giving them money, by funding these wicked activities. So I know this video was not even a bit, it was very, very, what's the word? Harsh. I would say harsh, but you need to hear this, because until you realize how bad this really is, until you realize how destructive this habit is, you won't quit. You won't want to quit, and you won't feel like, you won't have the conviction. You won't have the hatred towards it. So I hope this was my testimony. This is how Jesus saved me from this addiction. And obviously it wasn't a one and done situation, like I said, but it was a constant trial and error, constantly getting back up after I've fallen down, constantly pushing past the temptations and moving on to what God wants me to do. So I hope this helped somebody. And if it did, if this really resonated with your situation, you can DM me on Instagram and we can connect. All right. And this is why I built Peace Over Problems, because it's not just a brand. It's a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol that we can choose peace, which is Jesus, in a world full of problems. It's not just a way for me to make money. No, it's not about the money for me. I've built this brand simply because I want people to understand that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. So if you want to support this mission, because I really need people to understand that pornography is not something that you want to play with. All right. You guys can support by copying the Peace Over Promise merchandise. It's linked in the description and it's selling out really quickly. So get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt, and I'm actually coming up with a new design for you guys. So stay tuned for that. All right. But with that said, if you need me to personally help you, if you struggle with pornography, right? If you want me to help you break free, just like I did, you can click this top link in the description and we can get started. All right. But with that said, in a world full of problems, choose peace.